Like, how's that
Ransom
my fault,
suggests
genuinely?
that is precisely why Matthew visited Vanessa. He wasn't looking for justification. He was looking for a reason not
Stupid
to.
game, I swear to
Because
God.
Matthew knows that taking
I didn't
a
even
life
do anything
would
wrong, and
plunge
then
him permanently into
and then
darkness.
that just
A
happens. Like,
price
what?
Matthew is willing to pay after all, once he finds out Fisk has spilled innocent blood. A woman named Elena, killed for the crime of living in a building that Fisk needed empty. Foggy and Karen fought against her eviction, so in the end, Fisk had her murdered instead. So one night, the devil of Hell's Kitchen decides on living up to his namesake. He will kill Wilson Fisk. But it was all a setup, a way to draw out the vigilante. Waiting for him is not Fisk, but the Yakuza head he's been working with, a ninja named Nobu. And unfortunately for Matt, the Yakuza Association is only a cover for Nobu's true names. The ninja cuts Matt to shreds. He barely makes it out alive, only survives thanks to a desperate gamble involving some nearby flammable liquid. Once Nobu is Foggy later finds him half dead. That's when he learns his friend Matt is the mask. Foggy always believed in the law and thought Matt did too. Now he isn't so sure. And he isn't sure he can trust his friend again. After that, they stop talking. Karen doesn't know why the law office of Nelson and Murdoch is falling apart, but she continues her own investigation regardless. She discovers that Fisk's mother is alive at a nursing home. She brings Yurik, and together they question her and learn how Fisk killed his father. When Fisk's right-hand man, James Wesley, finds out about the visit, he gets a hold of Karen, and she manages to survive the encounter by shooting him in the chest 7 times, by killing the man who was like a son to Wilson Fisk. She leaves with that blood on her hands and doesn't keep it to herself, not even to tell her husband Matt about it. When Fisk himself finds out about the visit, he only knows that he is so he pays him a visit, but it is clear that he is there to kill him. First, he just tries to tell him then takes full responsibility for his conduct. Fisk strangles him and thefts to Ben Urik's silence. His death claims Matt Karen to take Fisk's place, and Matt gets something that's tough. During one scuffle with Fisk, he discovers the mob boss who has wiped his body. So he finds a man who built a bridge, Mel the mob boss is named Betsy, someone Melvin kills in his people. Matt promises he will take Fisk down and protect Betsy, and it's in a red suit with flexible body armor. Completely normal. Between Matt and Foggy's work as lawyers, Karen's work with Ben, and Matt's extracurricular activities with the devil, they finally get enough evidence to throw Fisk in jail. Of course, with so many corrupt officers on the force, he really escaped custody, but the devil ensures he is safe. After that, Foggy accepts who Matt is, and for the first time in weeks, the three friends smile at the last day. As for the public, newspapers report that Foggy is safe and well. They love him dead. As one hero rises in Hell's Kitchen, so does a villain. The one Jessica Jones thought died 18 months ago, Kilgrave. He wants Jessica back, but knows something she doesn't. His commands no longer work on her. Maybe because that order to kill Riva was too much and snapped her out of it. Or perhaps she's immune after months of exposure to his virus. So this time, he tries to get to her through others. The man she saved the day they met, Malcolm. Kilgrave turns him into an addict, someone people would look twice at. Has him move into Jessica's building and keep tabs on her. Finally, Kilgrave reemerges by taking college student and track star Hope Swanson as a slave. Jessica now works as a private investigator in her practice, alias investigation. The work helps her cope after the trauma left by Kilgrave, and so does the food. She's a heavy drinker now, and it takes a lot to get past her body's superpowered defenses. Soon, Jessica can't kill him because that would mean killing the only evidence that exonerates Hope of his parents' murder. Jessica needs him alive to prove what he can do, Her personal life is just as complicated. She's sleeping with Reva Connor's widower, Luke Cage. She didn't mean for it to happen, but the two and Jessica feels guilty to ignore until the investigation threatens to reveal the truth that she's confessing. Everything else, sleeping with him, lying, that he can't forgive. But Jessica still has allies in her pursuit of Kilgrave. There's Trish, her adoptive sister, Jerry Hogarth, the ruthless lawyer.
They'll forget about that, but it's fine.
Malcolm, who manages the drugs with Jessica's help, and Officer Simpson, who nearly killed himself thanks to the command of Kilgrave. Despite all that help, innocent bodies continue to pile up. The friendly neighbor who slits his own throat for the crime of annoying Kilgrave and maybe a tinge of jealousy. The neighbor had a crush on Jessica. Or the woman he turns into a human bomb to try and take out Simpson. They do eventually capture him, and now just need a confession or recorded proof of his powers. But as much as Kilgrave can give commands, he isn't big on taking them. Jessica tries to rattle him by tracking down his parents, and it works. Kilgrave's mom is dead within minutes of their reunion. Revenge for abandoning him when he was dangerous. Like the time his mom yelled at him and told her he was possible. Jessica manages to save his father before Kilgrave tells her to put a bullet in her skull. Lucky for her, the gun is empty. So instead, she picks up a bullet and tries to put it in her skull by hand. Jessica is the one who frees her from the command with a loophole by putting that bullet in her mouth for a moment, technically putting it in her skull. Trisha's life is saved, but that feeling of powerlessness, it's not and lately, she's been dealing with but he doesn't hold up his end of the bargain. Instead, he orders that wife to kill Jerry. The attempted murder is only stopped when Jerry's new lover, Pam, steps in and ends the threat with deadly force. As Jessica continues to pursue Kilgrave, been allowed to live for Hope's sake because Jessica wanted to exonerate her. Now, Hope decides that if her being alive means that she lives too, it isn't worth it. She takes her own life and frees Jessica to take his. But that cop, Officer Simpson, gets in the way. His obsession with revenge on Kilgrave leads to a relapse. He was part of an experimental military program through IGH, the same organization that gave Jessica powers, gave him pills to enhance strength and recovery, but also cause mental instability as a side effect. That causes him to turn on Jessica. They only stop him when Trish helps herself to some of those enhancers. It works. Not only that, the power is a welcome change after feeling so powerless at Kilgrave's hands. And it lands her in the hospital. In the meantime, Kilgrave has gotten stronger by forcing his father to enhance his powers. He does it with stem cells extracted from the fetus. Hope had found out she was pregnant after escaping the monster's captivity. She had an abortion, and Jerry Hogarth decided to hold on to replicating Kilgrave's powers. It didn't work, but enhancing Kilgrave's existing powers does. Maybe now he's even strong enough to control Jessica again. He leaves his father for dead, then nearly recaptures Jessica with help from a mind-controlled Luke Cage. Jessica almost escaped by shooting him, and he only survived thanks to a certain nurse who started to find a new tells Jessica to stop, and she does. He
Bruh.
makes her watch while he takes her sister Trish and promises to do to her what he did to Jessica. Milgrave actually believes it, that Jessica has control. He believes it enough to get close enough for her to snap his neck. This time, the threat is real, but the scars, the ones he left last time, and the pressure, probably stay for a while, maybe forever. It's a season for tragedies.
The problem is that, besides chapter 1, I just stutter way too much.
Three gangs shoot at each other. Caught in the middle, a family. Frank Castle watches his wife, son, and daughter.
Why did I do a turn
torn
around?
to
Okay.
pieces in front of him. He doesn't know the why of it all, the conspiracy and the betrayal. It began in Kandahar, where Castle served as a marine, alongside his close friend, Billy Russo. They were part of a special operation spearheaded by the director of covert operations at the CIA, William Rawlins, with support from Colonel Ray Schoonover. What Frank didn't know,
Alright, surely
and
I'm
still
3S
doesn't,
this
is
time,
that the
right? Like,
operation
I've missed it way too many times. Like, I just can't even.
way for Rawlins
I just can't even.
This was Frank's concern when he got back into his family. But David Lieberman, an analyst at the NSA, found out about it. Footage of an illegal execution. An officer of the Afghan National Police found out about the heroin, so Rawlins and Schoonover had him killed. Lieberman sent the footage to Homeland Security, which spooked Schoonover and Rawlins. They mistakenly assumed it was Frank Castle who leaked it, and that required severe consequences. They asked Russo to handle it. After Castle left, Russo kept working with Rawlins for the promise of financial reward. But this was too much. He couldn't kill his own friend. Castle is like a brother to him. No, he couldn't pull the trigger, though he could stand by and let it happen. The day after Castle returned from his last tour of duty, Schoonover, in his capacity as the blacksmith, called for a meeting with three gangs for a big drug deal. The Dogs of Hell, the Kitchen Irish, and the Mexican Cartel. The DA heard about it and put undercover officers there. Then the blacksmith didn't show. Between three pissed-off gangs and a bunch of undercover cops, the chaos and shooting was inevitable. The perfect cover for an assassination. It'll be the biggest mistake of Schoonover's life, because the bullet that landed in Frank's skull didn't kill him, and with his family gone, his singular purpose now is to ensure those responsible are punished. That same year, Earth once again assembles its mightiest heroes, this time to retrieve Loki's scepter, which fell into Hydra's hands, thanks to S.H.I.E.L.D.'s dissolution. With it, Hydra's been experimenting on two volunteers, Wanda and Pietro Maximoff. Hydra promised them power.
Thank you,
After
Jesus.
to a Stark missile, Wanda and Pietro
That should not have taken
any
10
advantage
attempts
they can
past
get
Birdly
in their
1.
pursuit of revenge. When the Avengers reached the facility, they learned firsthand that the experiments were a success. Pietro was granted super speed, and Wanda a wide array of magic, including the ability to read and manipulate minds. Though she'll later learn the scepter only in power was already there, chaos magic, and the power which makes her the long prophesied super witch. Reading Tony's mind,
I didn't see where I was going with this one.
fear that the Avengers will not be prepared for the next step. Fear that they will fall and it will be Tony's fault. Because he didn't do what was necessary to protect them. And she sees that if the scepter
Good.
she lets him have it. It only
Good,
takes days
good, good.
right. He studies the scepter and sees that inside it resembles an artificial intelligence.
Straight from your house.
He and Banner have been looking for a way to power a global AI capable of better than without the rest of the knowledge, preparation.
Oh, I forgot to unequip the wall stuff. It's fine, I can do it after scan then. Yes!
what
Yo!
Stark and Banner have done.
My voice is just not doing so well today.
Because Ultron is already spreading. The heroes do some digging and realize that Ultron is after vibranium. With Wakanda well hidden, the only way to get it is from arms dealer Ulysses Claw. Ultron recruits the Maximoff twins with the promise of destroying the Avengers, and together they acquire the vibranium from Claw. Because the Avengers arrive.
Oh,
They're
whoops.
hardly aware of its power to start with. Banner is turned into the Hulk, which is bad news when it happens without Banner's intent.
There we go.
Without a chance to Romanoff has been the only Avenger who could talk Hulk back into his human form. But with her stuck in Maximoff's trance, the job is left to Tony and his Hulkbuster. He eventually subdues the Hulk, but not without collateral damage and sibling fatalities. With the Avengers defeated, Hulk takes them to the hospital.
Sure, I guess. Finally. What am I doing?
To do that, he'll need something called the regeneration cradle, a device developed by a geneticist named Dr. Helen Cho, a doctor who Ultron already has under his control, thanks to the Scepter's mind control power. She begins forming the new body and downloading Ultron's consciousness into it. Suddenly, the synthetic mind, which could not be read by Wanda's magic, is turned organic, opening it to her, and she sees the full extent of Ultron's plan. Yes, he will kill the Avengers, but the rest of humanity will follow too. So when the Avengers arrive, she and Pietro reluctantly join them in fighting Ultron, aiding them in retrieving the Scepter and the regeneration cradle, containing the new body. When it comes time to destroy it, Tony has a different idea. He reveals to Banner that Jarvis was not destroyed after all. When the AI saw Ultron's evil, it went into hiding, hoping to aid the Avengers in secret. What if, rather than destroy Ultron's new body, they download Jarvis into it? They begin the process. But when the rest of the team learns what the mad scientists are up to, they try to stop it. If Wanda hoped to destroy the Avengers, she may have succeeded already, because Stark, Rogers, and the rest violently argue, unknowingly planting the seeds that will one day tear them apart. But today is not that day. Thor ends the argument by summoning power only accessible to the god of thunder. Lightning feeds the regeneration cradle, powering and expediting the process. A new being is born. One Thor explains that he had a vision of the infinity, which Mind Stone is the team doubts this being's intentions, but Vision then does something that no Avenger other than Thor can do. He lifts Mjolnir. If any doubt remains over his allegiance to human life, that doubt is erased as he joins them in the final battle against Ultron. They find the evil AI in Sokovia, where they learn his master plan. In designing humanity's extinction, Ultron looked to the history books. A meteor once wiped out the dinosaurs. Now, he will give humanity the same treatment. By using stolen vibranium and Chitauri anti-gravity tech held by Hydra to build a machine. A machine which will lift Sokovia's capital, Novigrad, into the air and drop it, turning the city into a homemade meteor. Despite Vision and the Avengers' best efforts, Ultron successfully razes Novigrad, leaving only one unthinkable option: destroy the city and everyone in it before Ultron can drop it. The situation's Ultron until Nick Fury returns and shows that not everything is gone. He got his hands on the carrier. They evacuate the city while continuing to destroy Ultron's robots. Once the city is seemingly empty, Hawkeye notices a child left behind. He runs for the kid, then finds an Ultron
I don't know what I was thinking.
Hulk, having seen the danger
But at least I got the crit. That's
uses the
good enough than missing him.
And finally,
Did I bomb by
the
this?
last piece of Ultron remaining. After the battle, Thor returns to Asgard, Barton returns to his family, and Stark returns to Pepper. Meanwhile, Rogers and Romanoff assemble a new team at a new Avengers compound on the stage, including Wanda, Falcon, War Machine, and Vision. But while the Avengers saved the world, they also showed the world how dangerous they could be. After all, they created Ultron, who killed many, including the father, wife, and son of Helmut Zemo, a member of the Sokovian Armed Forces. In his grief, he makes his family a promise. He will avenge them. He will destroy the Avengers. Later that year, Scott Lang is let out of prison after serving 3 years. He was arrested after stealing from his employer VistaCorp. He discovered they were intentionally overcharging customers, so he
Coming straight from your house.
it to the customers. Maybe the right thing to do, but against the law. Though now he's free, he feels anything but, because the thing he wants most is inaccessible to him, to be a father for his daughter, Cassie. His ex-wife is engaged with police officer Jim Paxton, and they're not keen on the girl being around an ex-con. But soon, an opportunity presents itself. In the 26 years since Hank Pym left S.H.I.E.L.D., he started his own company, Pymtech, and was fired from it, something perpetrated by his once protege, Darren Cross. Cross and Pym didn't see eye to eye. After losing his wife to the quantum realm, Hank refused to work on shrink tech, but Cross and moved to make the switch. Now he's supposed to finally recreate the particle. He's even going to answer the Ant-Man suit, the Yellow Jacket. Hank cannot allow that. If Cross sells that power to the highest bidder, it would put the world in danger. He needs someone capable of sneaking into Pymtech and destroying it. His daughter Hope insists she's the perfect candidate. She works at Pymtech, and Cross trusts her. But after losing his wife, Hank refuses to risk losing his daughter as well. So despite her insistence, he forbids it. Instead, he finds a thief with a heart of gold and something to prove, Scott Lang. Pym needs his skills, and Scott needs to be a hero for his daughter. They recruit him, and they train him. He has a hard time mastering the tech, especially the telepathic link with ants, until Hope tells him something he needs to hear. But first, he tells her something she needs to hear. Hope argues with her father. Why won't he tell her what really happened to her mother? Why does he trust Scott more than her to do the job? But outside, Scott sets the record straight. Hope, he says, look at me. I'm expendable. That's why I'm here. You must have realized that by now. I mean, that's why I'm in the suit and you're not. You'd rather lose this fight than lose you. She believes him. She realizes her father does love her. He does trust her. Now she's ready to help Scott and tell him how to master the technique. You have to clear your mind, Scott. You have to make your thoughts precise. That's how it works. Think about Cassie and how badly you want to see her, and use that to focus. When they head back in, Hank finally tells Hope what really happened to her mother. She wasn't killed in a plane crash. She went subatomic to stop a missile and ended up shrinking for eternity in the quantum realm. It's a dire warning to Scott. Never go subatomic. Soon, with Scott refocused on his daughter, he learns to control the suit and an army of ants. Finally, he's ready. First, they'll need a transmission blocker, something Hank built back in the day, which has been collecting dust in an old Stark warehouse. Except that warehouse was recently converted into Avengers HQ, something they didn't know until they arrived. Rather than a clean break-in, Scott is forced to fight the Avenger on guard duty, Falcon, and surprising the Avenger with a shrink ability he's never seen, Scott wins. Finally, they're ready for the main event. The plan is to sneak into Pymtech, get Cross's suit, and destroy the research. To pull off the heist, Scott needs a little help from his friends, his old cellmate Louise, and his two friends Dave and Bert. The day of the heist comes just in time, as Cross makes
Coming straight from your house.
Things go well at first, except Cross has become suspicious, and repeated exposure to the particles have made him a little unhinged. When he catches Scott in the act, he gets violent. He puts on the Yellow Jacket suit, leading to a chaotic brawl between the two shrinking men. Reaching a
Dude.
stalemate, Cross finds weakness in his daughter. The Yellow Jacket approaches the girl, while her soon-to-be stepfather
Pretty unlucky,
Paxton
but
tries
it's
to protect
fine.
her. Desperate, Ant-Man has an idea. Maybe if he could shrink and get inside the Yellow Jacket's suit. Only problem is that it's made of titanium. To get through, he'd have to go subatomic. And to save his daughter, that's a price he's willing to pay. He shrinks, and he destroys the regulator inside the Yellow Jacket's suit, crushing it and Cross to subatomic proportions. And just as Hank warned, Scott himself continues to shrink with no sign of stopping. But even in that chaotic place where time and space are irrelevant, he hears the voice of his daughter calling for him. That focuses him. He has an idea. One of his gadgets is a small device he can throw at things to make them bigger. He puts it inside his suit's regulator, and by combining the tech, size. Cross wasn't so lucky. He finds himself in one. And the regulator has reshaped him. But he's given a second chance when Hank recruits him as a scientist and mechanized organism designed only for killing. Or both. And Scott also gets a second chance to be a father to his daughter, because after watching how far Scott would go to protect her, Paxton and Maggie are won over and allow them to spend time together. And they aren't the only ones impressed by Scott. So is Hope, something Hank learned when he opens the door to find them kissing. But as one relationship blooms, another withers. After relinquishing the throne, Thor and Jane lived happily for a time. But they are soon torn apart by fear. Fear of losing the other. They build walls of distance which have become insurmountable. And one day, while Thor is off on another adventure, running from their relationship, Jane writes a letter ending it. Though before they part, Thor plants a seed that will bloom nearly a decade later. He whispers to Mjolnir, "I need you to promise me you'll always protect her." In New York City, with Wilson Fisk behind bars, gangs rise to fill the vacuum. But they are met with a force more terrifying than the devil in Hell's Kitchen. A force that does not ask questions or take prisoners. The pile of bodies, members of the Kitchen Irish, Mexican cartel, and Dogs of Hell, suggests the work of an army. But the truth is that the crippling of these gangs is the work of one man, Frank Castle. Some are calling him the Punisher. By night, Murdoch meets him in the guise of Daredevil, where it's clear they share a distaste for crime, but differ wildly in their methods. And Frank makes a compelling case. You hit him and they get back up. I hit him and they stay down. As his body count rises, Castle eventually finds himself trapped, wounded, with the police closing in. After his arrest, Nelson and Murdoch take him on as a client. Foggy, of course, abhors the Punisher's twisted sense of justice, but Karen sees something more in him,
God damn it.
and carries on Ben Urich's legacy by investigating Castle's story, with the New York Bulletin backing. A budding career as
Hopefully I don't get hit
isn't the
Neo
only exciting
too many
development in
times.
his life. There is also a new relationship with Matthew Murdoch. It was only a matter of time. When they met,
Dude.
Karen was accused of murder, and her life was on the brink of unraveling. Except Matt found her and believed in her. But like most things in Murdoch's life, good doesn't last very long. Soon he finds himself distracted and unable to give Karen the affection or attention she deserves. He even neglects the biggest case of his and Foggy's careers, the People versus Frank Castle, leaving nearly all the work to Foggy and Karen. Why? What could possibly hijack all of Matt's attention so thoroughly? The right question is who, and the answer is Elektra. She is back in New York, and once again hoping to recruit Matt to her and Stick's crusade against him. Of course, Matt is reluctant after the way they left things 10 years ago, but old habits and loves are hard to resist. He even starts to believe he can change her. Elektra once found the darkness in him, and he resisted. Maybe now he can find the light in her. Maybe he can teach her about redemption and that killing is wrong. Together they fight the Hand, who are kidnapping children and draining them of blood, a mission led by someone who should be dead, Nobu. Proof they are more than just an organization of crime. They have somehow mastered the art of resurrection. For Claire Temple, it's only another in a string of strange revelations. The blind lawyer who wages war on crime, the mind-controlling villain, the man with bulletproof skin. Now, this. She helps treat the kidnapped children when Murdoch brings them to her, and that lands her in hot water with the hospital for treating patients not formally admitted. And they try to protect the hospital by covering up what happened to her friend, Nurse Louisa, killed by the hand when they came looking for those kids. Money over morals.
Right, time to die.
It's enough to make
Coming straight from your house.
Tom loses his entire run due to
back to the
1
place
to 2
where she grew
attacks.
up, Harlem, where another war rages, and at the center of it, someone Claire Temple has met once before, Luke Cage. Though Cage doesn't know it yet, it also involves his half-brother, who now goes by Dynamite. He's become a weapons dealer, but his aren't just normal guns. His come from Hammer Industries, as in Justin supplies those guns to Harlem crime lord Cornell Stokes, better known by a nickname he detests, Cottonmouth. Things get complicated for him. One of Stokes' men goes after him, and is killed in the crossfire. He's
Nice.
also looking for a ticket back to Rikers Island because Fisk is there. And supposedly Fisk has answers about what happened that day in Central Park. Of course, the info isn't free. Fisk has a rival.
Coming straight from your house.
Dutton was there the day Frank's family was killed, so they make a deal. Fisk provides the Punisher access to Dutton, and the Punisher kills him once he finds out what he needs to know. Before Frank sinks the blade into his gut, Dutton talks about the blacksmith, how the drug lord called a meeting of the three gangs and didn't show, how the feds tried to use it as a sting operation. Once Dutton is dead, Fisk no longer has a use for Castle, so he lets out all the inmates of the wing to kill him. That's how Fisk finds out that an army against Frank Castle is
Ah, went the wrong way, but it's fine.
and he arranges for the killer of his It's a mutually beneficial exchange. Punisher gets freedom, which means thinning out the Kingpin's competition, something that'll benefit the mob boss once known He returns home for the first time since he lost everything. He looks at a newspaper article about his case, where they display the X-ray of his skull. Thinks it's an idea. He takes the armor from Stone's stash and sprays his skull. Then, throughout all of this, the office of Nelson is working. With Matt distracted,
Right, don't fuck this up.
working without a partner. At the same time, Matt starts to believe what's standing on the warrior's path. He pushes his friends away. As with that distraction, things are not going well. Whatever progress Matt makes in showing Electra the light is undone by an intruder. Stick sent to assassinate him. He manages to live, but now he's out for his blood. And Murdoch begins. She will kill her old people. Soon they understand why.
Remember, just take it safe
The hand
on
after
Queen.
her old
Take it
friend
really safe on Queen.
black sky.
Don't need to graze too much. Just make sure you hit the crits, and you'll be fine. Hit the crits, hit the free red, you'll be fine.
Stick decided that to prevent that, he would sacrifice Electra's life. Electra gets a stick and tries to kill him, but Matt breaks up the fight. In their tussle, however, the hand shows up and
Coming straight from your house.
managed to free him, but in doing so, Daredevil has placed himself firmly in Nobu's crosshairs. To draw him into a trap, Nobu kidnaps anyone Daredevil has ever saved, including Karen. To aid in their fight against the Hand, Matt picks up some things from Melvin, armor for Elektra, and an upgraded billy club for himself, now containing a steel fiber cable, perfect for striking or as a grappling hook. Now all he has to do is listen close to find the prisoners. He and Elektra fight their way through the ninjas to free them, but now the only way out is the rooftop, where an army of ninjas await. Both know it is certain death, but together they are willing to face it. Outside, they fight impressively, but the Hand is powerful. Nobu nearly lands a killing blow to Matt, until Elektra stops him at the cost of her life. She dies in Matt's arms. As for Matt, he gets some unexpected help. The Punisher rains bullets from a nearby rooftop. With the assist, Daredevil is victorious, and Stick beheads Nobu, ensuring no further resurrections. A month later, Matt calls Paige to the offices of Nelson and Murdoch one last time to tell her who he is. And elsewhere, the Hand completes the task they came here for. All the blood they drain, it is in service of raising the black sky. Using that blood in a mystical sarcophagus, they begin the process of resurrecting the to become their own weapon. Meanwhile, in Harlem, with Stokes' business in shambles thanks to Luke Cage, Diamondback is unhappy. He wants his guns back. And Stokes' cousin Mariah Dillard is unhappy, whose life in politics as a councilwoman is largely funded by the criminal empire. The friction between Dillard and Stokes leads to many arguments. One gets particularly heated and personal, and ends with Stokes dead, leaving Dillard to manage everything. Though she isn't totally alone, Shades helps her out too. He once worked for the corrupt prison guard Rackham. Now he works for Diamondback and was sent in to help clean up the mess in Harlem. When that fails, Diamondback pays the neighborhood a visit himself.
I'm making fucking mac and cheese, and nobody can stop.
Stryker shoots him with a bullet that carries bounce off his feet.
Fuck off.
So they can pull out the shrapnel. Painful, but effective. Once he's healed, Cage has a look at Bertrand's files.
So everything
The truth
except
about his
Dolores
life
and tension.
revealed.
Everything else
About his
is
experiments
equipped
at the
onto
prison,
Rossay, Chris, and
how
Susie.
she
I don't need
picked Luke Cage for the experiments.
don't
He
need
was
to
betrayed,
get anything.
taken advantage of, and
That should be
used as
good.
a guinea pig. He won't let it happen to anyone else. Before leaving,
Just in
he
case though, I
destroyed
will
Bertrand's
save
equipment
mansion.
After that, Diamondback doesn't stop trying to kill Luke Cage. Ultimately, he tries with a battlesuit that makes him strong enough for a bout with a superhero,
Ugh.
but not strong enough to win. It's a long, public brawl that ends with Luke Cage, the hero of Harlem, victorious. Unfortunately,
Great from your house.
in all this, his identity has been exposed. Despite his heroics, he is still a fugitive who broke out through the walls of Seagate Prison, and Lucas now allows them to take him back. Mariah Dillard, on the other hand, greatly opposes any attempt to hold her accountable. She even has a witness murdered, the only one who could testify. It's injustice, but clear temper, and Misty Knight has come to appreciate his efforts. Only watch as he goes to prison and Dillard walks free. The following year, Dr. Stephen Strange loses everything. For years, he's been the best surgeon around, and no one cares about him. He survives and pushes medical techniques to new heights, but it's all in service of his Stark-sized ego. That's why he can't be with her. He likes her, and she likes him. He can't help but feel regret for making him a part of her side. This hubris costs the relationship, and ultimately,
What am I doing?
Meanwhile, Danny Rand returns to New York City with one quite powerful hero, the immortal Iron Fist. He's been busy the last 15 years in Kunlun, honing his mind, body, and spirit. He made a close friend in Davos, a friendship that was challenged when they both vied for the trial of Shao Lao, but only one could be chosen. The elders had to fight in brutal combat. Ultimately, Danny was chosen, and he succeeded in taking power from the heart of the dragon. Yet, he still felt unfulfilled. So he looked for a sign, and suddenly one appeared to him. The passage from Kunlun opened as it does every 15 years. And then, a sign, a hawk flying away.
What the fuck? Whatever, man. Awful, terrible. Okay, compared to so yeah, so that and that,
because he did. What the world doesn't know is that
that.
Madame Gao of the Hand
I think
then
I lost
resurrected him.
2
In
turns
exchange,
compared to
she
last
uses
run.
the company's resources for her drug
Yeah, it'd
trade.
probably have been
This
faster to
forced
do
Harold
Spare Queen,
Meacham
but
to live in hiding
it's
for
worth the
now.
risk.
The only one who knows he's alive is his son Ward, who, as his conduit to the outside world, is forced to do his bidding. If he ever hesitates to comply, Harold takes a page out of the Hand's book, using force
I
and
can
violence
try.
to coerce his son.
Try.
Danny
So
finds out Harold is alive, and at first, Harold is able to convince him he's just a prisoner of the Hand.
Great from your house.
Danny needs to help get rid of them. The immortal Iron Fist is more than happy to take them on, but in their battle, with Colleen at his side, she's cut by a poisoned blade from the Hand. She's only saved when her old sensei Bakudo teaches Danny that his Iron Fist can do more than punch. It can also heal. How does Bakuto know that?
Let's
'Cause
see.
like Madame
So it
Gao,
does lose like a minute.
and so
Going
is
over
his
there loses like around a minute, and then it's probably not gonna beat my current PK, but
the hand,
we'll see.
and she's part of it. Danny's world is upside down. It's time to go back to Kunlun, where he abandoned his post. That's what Davos wants anyway. He's come to New York to take Danny back, but he refuses to go until he defeats the Hand here in New York. And Colleen will help him after all, because the Hand catches a whiff of her support for Danny. Together, they defeat Bakuto. But what now? Colleen refuses to kill, and Danny isn't sure he wants to be an assassin either. Davos is disgusted by the
Round
hesitation. He stabs a knife through Bakuto's heart. More certain than ever, the Iron Fist should be his, not Danny's. Danny learns about Gallows' deal with Harold, and how they orchestrated the assassination of his parents.
Whatever. Forgot what to do there, I think. What? Whatever. I was so tempted, not gonna lie. Okay, we're good. As long as I can get 6 punch. And the crits obviously. Never mind. Fuck you.
To get through it, they will need the power.
Yeah, this is gonna be very slow.
Named Danny Rand.
But I'm gonna submit it anyways because I don't care.
And open that.
You are out.
They extract that substance.
Still gonna get the
New York City
spike
will
shackle thing.
collapse, killing countless citizens. Who can stop them now? Kunlun is apparently gone, and the Hand has already wiped out most of the Chaste, leaving Stick as the last man standing. Perhaps then the job should fall to Daredevil. But Matt has retired
Running
from
so bad.
vigilantism, something he promised Foggy and Karen. Instead, he focuses on pro bono work. As for Foggy, he finally lives out his dreams of working at a large, prestigious firm, specifically Jerry Hogarth's firm. And Karen has embraced her budding career as an investigative journalist, officially taking a job at the New York Bulletin. Of course, once Matt finds out what is going on, all of that becomes unimportant. The promise of Danny Rand, the Iron Fist, joins forces not only with Daredevil, but also Jessica Jones and who was recently freed from prison with help from the lawyer. The clash of personalities made for an uneasy alliance, made all the more tenuous when Daredevil hesitates. Once he sends an electron, That will cave in the structure, burying the substance, and ending the hand's ability to resurrect. Getting it done means a final battle with the hand, one where Claire Temple, Colleen Wing, and Misty Knight all lend a hand, and in Misty's case, an arm too, when a resurrected Bakudo slices it off. By the time of the final battle, Matt's repeated attempts to reach Elektra do return her memories, and with her newfound freedom, she chooses to die. She will stay in a collapsing building, but even this is not enough to deter Matt. If she chooses to stay, he will do the same. They kiss, and the building falls. Outside, Jessica, Luke, and Danny realize that Matt had no intention of surviving, and Danny remembers what Matt said to them earlier: "Protect my city." To honor his fallen friend, the unconscious and grave. He's found and brought to the St. Agnes orphanage under Father Lantom and Maggie's care. His friends, however, are left to believe he's dead. As for Elektra, her body is not found in the wreckage. Meanwhile, the Avengers' downfall begins. It starts on a mission in Nigeria where Wanda tries to contain an explosion, but in doing so, accidentally kills 26 people, including 11 relief aid workers from Wakanda. The seeds of doubt planted after Ultron's attack finally grow, and the world demands accountability. General Ross pitches the Avengers on something called the Sokovia Accords. No longer would they be a private organization. Instead, they would answer to the UN, acting only on their orders. Tony Stark is ready to sign. He's come face to face with people who lost family in Sokovia. He bears that guilt and hopes this will close. But Rogers refuses. He has faith in individuals. He has faith in the Avengers. What if the UN orders them to do something they disagree with, or doesn't let them help in a situation where they're needed? The debate is cut short when Rogers gets word that Peggy Carter has passed. At the funeral, her great niece speaks, and Steve recognizes her as his old name, Agent 13. She shares something Aunt Peggy once told her: compromise where you can, but where you can't, don't. Even if everyone is telling you that something wrong is something right, even if the whole world is telling you to move, it is your duty to plant yourself like a tree, look them in the eye, and say no. Steve does exactly that. When the Sokovia Accords are signed, he's nowhere to be seen. The document is ratified, but the proceedings are interrupted by a terrorist explosion, which kills many, including King T'Chaka of Wakanda. Security footage implicates Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, and T'Chaka's son T'Challa vows revenge. Meanwhile, Steve learns about the explosion, and Carter shares a tip on Bucky's location. So when the Black Panther attacks, Steve is there with Sam to defend him. But soon, the authorities intervene and arrest them. After the chaos, Steve considers finally signing the document, until he learns that Tony has Wanda confined at his house, hoping to avoid another public incident while the Accords are sorted out. With a fellow Avenger in custody, Rogers refuses to sign. At that house, Vision tries to improve Wanda's mood, who's still fraught with guilt after the incident in Nigeria, and convinced the rest of the team hates her. Then he bonds with her over something they share. She doesn't understand the chaos magic which powers her, just like he doesn't understand the Infinity Stone which powers him. Both have a scary, mysterious part of themselves. Things take a sour turn, though, when she realizes Vision is there to ensure she can't leave. While Bucky is in custody, a doctor shows up, sent by the UN to evaluate him. But Helmut Zemo has taken the man's place, and apparently he's been busy. He set off the bomb at the signing and framed Bucky to trigger a manhunt, so Bucky would be found. And by using the data publicly released by Romanoff after taking down Hydra, then by threatening and interrogating the right people, he found a notebook which contains the key words that trigger Bucky's programming and turn him into the Winter Soldier. He questions him about the location in Siberia where he was brainwashed, the location where the other Winter Soldiers are still being kept in stasis. Then he sets him loose and escapes. Captain America and Falcon manage to get Bucky before the authorities and hang low until the Winter Soldier sleeps and Bucky wakes up. He tells them how Zemo asked about Siberia, and they surmise he must be heading there to recruit the other Winter Soldiers for some nefarious cause. They prepare to head there themselves, but first they'll have to evade Tony Stark. They're operating outside the Sokovia Accords, so General Ross dispatched Iron Man to stop them. For the battle ahead, they recruit some allies. Falcon brings in Ant-Man, who's back at the tussle at Avengers HQ, and Rogers calls Kirk, who joins them after helping Wanda escape Vision. Although she doesn't need much help, just some encouragement to leave. Meanwhile, Tony Stark recruits some allies as well, Black Panther, and a kid from Queens named Tony Parker, who for 6 months has been operating as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. When his team catches up with the other half of the Avengers, Rogers continues to heed Peggy's words. He refuses to comply, and he tries telling Tony that the phony doctor, Helmut Zemo, was behind all of this. But Tony doesn't listen. Instead, they fight, and things escalate until Tony's friend Rhodey gets badly hurt. Meanwhile, Steve and Bucky escape, with Natasha's help. She attacks Black Panther to stop him pursuing them, and betrays her promise to fight for the Accords, to fight for Tony. Tony looks into Steve's claim and finds that the doctor who showed up in was not the real doctor. And he sees what Ross did with the Avengers who helped
Fine.
Steve. They were thrown into a secret maximum.
I'm much more comfortable now. Like, I know this is just objectively worse, but I think this is safe enough for chapters 3 and 4, assuming I make it to chapter 4.